Very well. Member for Kiharu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44 as read together with the provision of Standing Order 212D relating to the Committee of Parliamentary Broadcast and Library, and indeed Standing Order 127 3A with respect to public participation on bills upon publication. Honorable Speaker, my attention has been drawn to misleading information being spread partly by mainstream media, social media, and other individuals regarding the content of my bill, titled the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, which was published on 1st March 2019 and read for the first time on 20th March of 2019. Honorable Speaker, my bill, which is indeed a two-clause bill only, is amending the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act number 3 of 2003 so as to put stiffer penalties, Mr. Speaker. I emphasize that my bill has only two clauses and it is only amending the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act so as to put stiffer penalties to those engaging in corruption, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, my first proposal of this bill was actually to have much stiffer penalties than the one that passed through the Jail Act, Mr. Speaker. I had actually proposed hanging to some threshold of corruption, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am proposing this registration in the realization that, as it is presently, a person convicted of an offense under the Act is liable to a fine not exceeding 1 million shillings or an imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years or both, Mr. Speaker. There has been a surge in corruption cases in this country, and one way of dealing with corruption is enhancing the consequences of engaging in such activities. Unless the menace of corruption is dealt with, Mr. Speaker, corruption will continue to hamper the economic growth and development of our country due to the loss of public funds. However, Mr. Speaker, there has been a series of attacks on the bill and the proposer, including misinformation that the bill is aimed at curtailing the powers of DCI and the DPP. Mr. Speaker, this deliberate misinformation is not only an attack at the member for Kiharu constituency, but indeed an affront to the legislative authority of this House and the individual members, especially those of us who have more than 30 bills to their name and more than 100 others whose legislative proposals are in the pipeline, Mr. Speaker. This House has legislated against fake news and use of digital media to mislead the public. Mr. Speaker, the effect of this trend now coming up in fivefold as follows: that individuals and institutions outside Parliament will now have the audacity of curtailing the legislative authority of Parliament under the Article 95 of the Constitution by twisting the objects of published bills especially to poison the mind of the public against the institution of Parliament. Number two, Mr. Speaker, that the individual members may now be discouraged from proposing registration or even taking part in making law, Mr. Speaker. Number three, Mr. Speaker, that other individual members may be discouraged from supporting registrations in this House, including bills emanating from the executive, which, of course, Mr. Speaker, would be a retrogressive trend. Number four, Mr. Speaker, that this House will henceforth allow the media to continue misreporting on legislative matters before it, especially the mainstream media, which enjoys certain privileges and facilities accorded by Parliament through taxpayers' money. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, that since after the publication of the bill became property of the House and the relevant committee is required to seek public views, Mr. Speaker, those views of the public will be highly prejudiced by the distorted information. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, my humble request is that you confirm that there is no other such bill published by anyone else in my name other than the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2019, which is a two-clause bill amending the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act number 3 of 2003, so as to put stiffer penalties to corruption offenses upon conviction. I also request, Mr. Speaker, you to rule whether our committee on broadcast and library, as established under the Standing Order 221D, should inquire into this matter and propose sanctions to any media house that will continue misreporting on facts, particularly in regards to this particular bill, which is now before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and other bills. And also, Mr. Speaker, your guidance as to whether it is indeed the role of individual members to correct facts about bills that are before departmental committees, or indeed it is the work of departmental committees, Mr. Speaker. Should you find it's the mandate of the relevant committee, I beseech you, Honorable Speaker, to order the JLAC committee of this parliament through the clerk to publish a statement that will go to all media houses, putting facts about the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2019. Mr. Speaker, I was even perturbed yesterday when I was engaging in other parliamentary business, seeing an honorable member of this country, Mr. Speaker, who has served also as an honorable member of this parliament, misinforming the public, Mr. Speaker, and I was wondering whether a person of a stature of a former prime minister has actually no time to peruse the bills that we propose to this House. Mr. Speaker, finally, may I beseech the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to prioritize public participation of the said bill so that it is considered when the House resumes from the short recess. Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I call upon my colleagues in this House to kindly find time to peruse my bill, which is available at the table office, Mr. Speaker, and it's actually a very simple bill, which I'm proposing only 2 clauses. That, Mr. Speaker, currently, the fine for those convicted is less than 1 million, or not exceeding 1 million. My bill, Mr. Speaker, is proposing not less.
Don't debate the bill. Don't debate. Now you are beginning to debate the bill. You know, you rose on a point of order.
All right, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Yes.
And the other one, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, is that the current laws in this country is that the issue of imprisonment when you are convicted is not more than 10 years.
Even now, that is not part of what you rose to say.
Mr. Speaker, on those issues, I seek your guidance. Thank you very much.